morning, we're taking on the Abuja-Kaduna end of this conversation. First, it's been, what, 4 days now since that unfortunate attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train where we had 8 lives lost and a lot of people injured. Still, many people unaccounted for. Have they been kidnapped? Are they home safe? Lots of questions to ask. And this morning, to do that with us, we're joined right here in our Lagos studio by Colonel Hassan Stanlambo, former Army officer, security risk management consultant, and defense strategist. It's great to have you on the program, Colonel.
Thank you, Kadi.
We'll also be having this conversation in our Abuja studio. We're joined by Engineer Fidel Okiria, who is the managing director of Nigeria Railway Corporation, NRC, joins us live from our Abuja studio, as you can see. Good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning on the program. Well, let me begin with you. You've been as the man in the eye of a storm for a few days now, and I'd like you to bring us up to speed. What more can you tell us about this incident, the search for those unaccounted for, and essentially trying to secure that end and rebuild it? What more do you know on this?
It's a bad day, or a bad week, and we are trying to be strong in spirit and in soul. And we've been to the site. We saw the level of damage to the track, to the rolling stock, and we also been to the hospitals. And we thank God it could have been worse, but we still have to give glory to God. The issue now is, how do we move ahead? We had 398 passengers that bought tickets for that particular trip. From our system, 362 were validated to travel. That's excluding the staff, because those are not expected to buy tickets. And the train took over at 6:10 p.m. and was supposed to arrive at the station at 7:45. And after 10 minutes, the station master raised an alarm that the train has not been seen, and they have to arrange a search party. But the search team had gone short and reported back, but then we were not sure what was happening. So we had to wait for the details, and we got the detail, then alerted the admin, because there's already a system that Kaduna State Government and Nigeria Railway and the Office of the DMI have in place to ensure that the train rides on that route, because of the particular situation on the Kaduna-Abuja route, that particular axis. And the team came up and try as much as possible to rescue the victims. It's good to note also that there were 18 armed policemen, 2 per coach, because there were 9 coaches, who tried as much as possible to resist the attack. And the terrain was so, I think it was, I won't say it's bad on our side, where it was good on the bandit side, in the sense that there was about 10-meter curtain. They were just on top and firing down on the coaches. You know, when you have it's the first to strike. So that is why we never thought, or at that particular evening, there's going to be an attack. So you don't expect them to just be ready. But those who plan to attack were at least, say, 110% ready.
So, you know, it is, how would I put it now? It is very worrisome, the last statement you just made. But I think first, it's important to say that we know that of the 8 people who lost their lives, members of staff of the Nigeria Railway Corporation were also amongst them, and our condolences to you on that. However, there'll be questions, because it would seem that this bandits already gave, or this terrorist already gave an indication that this is something that is a possibility. And I'm sure that that's one of the reasons why you have security men on the coaches to reassure travelers that you are taking care of security and the probability that this is a possibility.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Very correct.
If that is the case, when you say that we're not exactly ready, we're not exactly prepared, it looks like there is a contradiction in your statement.
You see, you are carrying arm, I'm carrying arm. I'm not ready to shoot you, but you are ready to shoot me. You are positioning yourself to shoot at me. I have to react. So the person initiating the action will definitely have the upper hand. That's what I mean. We have, since we started Kaduna Abuja, we had policemen on train because we know the Kaduna Abuja before we started was a dark spot. So that's why we had, before now, even when you run train to Kano, we just have St. John ambulances, man who go on train. The insecurity was not as tense as this. But when we started Kaduna Abuja, knowing what was happening between on the highway, we have to deploy at per coach 2 armed policemen. So, but the policemen will not be carrying their gun ready to shoot. You got what I mean? So the issue was that the people who planned to attack that evening, we already had, they planted something on the track to ensure that the train, maybe they had an experience of what happened before that. When they tried to attack, the train could move forward. And at this particular time, they also, I think they did not just stop at where they planted the bomb. They were now ahead of that place. And they, according to them, I was not there. They were so many and shooting from right, left, and even center and back. So it is. It was like a war situation.
So it was a situation that the Nigeria Railway Corporation never anticipated.
How will you be planning that somebody will come and attack you? How?
Well, given what we have seen of, of the security situation in the country in general, what we have heard, the very fact that, there have been, even me as an ordinary Nigerian, if you ever asked if I felt safe, I've taken the Abuja-Kaduna train a few times.
Yeah.
And what I saw, the security men who were on the train, I just felt they were more of a deterrent. I figured that if there was a real attack, the chances are very high that we could be in real trouble. And it was, but that was what happened on Tuesday. Are you saying that at the level of planning, at the level of authority, nobody ever thought that from what we have seen, the kinds of attacks we have heard, people going on motorcycles in droves to villages, to communities, that could never have happened to the train?
I don't want to go into that controversy. If you talk about real operation, I would be on security. I don't pretend to be an expert. We have them there, and they have talked to us, and we talk to them. So we have a commissioner of police, we have a commandant civil defense, and we have some DSS working with us. And we call them for meeting, and we listen to them. So I believe I'm not, what I don't want. As a real technocrat, I know the operation, and we have element of security embedded in it, in our signal and control.
Okay, so I mean, in a moment, I'm going to be throwing this back to Lagos, but there are two things I'd like you to react to. First is the comment of the Kaduna State Governor, who said that they had already told the Nigeria Railway Corporation to not operate the night service because of this sort of thing. I mean, they felt that if there was any attack, it will not be quick enough. Response time might be slower than if it happened during the day. Did you ever receive such an alert? And what was the response of your organization to it? We got
that report in December, January, and we met with them. I said, okay, are we saying if by tomorrow they said don't operate Kaduna Abuja, we stop operation? So as a body, now that you have information that there's possible going to be an attack, why wait till the attack? Nip the problem. Since you hear them, since you listen to them, why wait? So, you see, as a government, you don't give it because you... I don't want to be part of this controversy. I'm not a newsmaker. And if you notice them and you see them and you know they are coming, why wait till on Monday night?
So if you say that you had this information December, January, and the Kaduna State government really did say so, you are the head of the Nigeria Railway. You might say that you are not a newsmaker, but right now, the railway service which you operate is making the news, and it's not for very good reason. And this has the capacity to affect the confidence of those who use this service. There have been many other reports which you have been regaled with, but we know that the Abuja-Kaduna has been a very critical, in fact, it was the start of, it was same, of a new dawn for the Nigeria Railway Service.
For the Nigerians and Nigeria, not just Nigeria Railway Corporation.
Indeed,
So
for all of us. So it was extremely important that if any security information was coming in, that you would have, given it a second consideration. You
to
don't
stop
think
operation.
For the night service?
We don't do night service. We do evening service.
Evening
in other
service.
areas, we do night service.
Evening service.
Even like, let me start an example. Last week, Friday, we had an information right in Mina and say, stop. There's a place, Seriki Power is not safe. We stopped. And not different from that. We saw some movement and we saw this, we saw that. That was specific. And they now gave us clearance to move. Day before yesterday, we had a goods train, the same goods train. They got to Mina, they gave a specific instruction, stop, and later said, go ahead. And we obeyed. But when you say there are some movement, there are some news, are we going to stop? So I don't, I shy away from...
What about the evening service? I mean, did you have any concerns about it? I know that usually, I should correctly clarify, you don't operate a night service. But the evening service usually, dovetails into when it is dark.
Yeah.
I have taken the evening service before, and I know that when I enter Abuja, it is usually quite dark, coming from the Idu end. So did you have exercise any fears that given this intelligence which we have, maybe we should stop the evening service for now?
So we should give in to the terrorist or to the bandit. So
would that be how you would have interpreted that? Was that how your agency was, or your corporation was saying
we believe, you see, what is the aim of doing this? To stop operation, or for Nigerians not to benefit in what government is doing. So government should give in. So as I said earlier, if we have the intelligence to know, if yesterday, when we went to site on Tuesday with 3 ministers on board, this incident still happened. And the advice was that come down, go by road. I said, how many people are on the train that you want us to go by road? Luckily, the ministers on board said, go ahead with the train. And I said, luckily for us, we arrived at Abuja safe. So we would have come down looking for buses. What confidence are you giving to your people? You see, I'm doing my work. People should do their work.
Let's flip this to my colleagues in Lagos. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mark. But just before we take this back to get into the conversation, because Colonel Hassan Stanlabo is also here with us to discuss some issues. I understand Olu Phillips has an update at the Lekki, concerning this Lekki tollgate issue. Olu, what's the issue now? What's new?
Look at it. I'll tell them now.
We can hear you. I understand that a security man is covering our camera right now. From what you can see, he's using his hand to cover the camera, the lens of our camera, so that you don't get to see what is happening right now. I don't know how this is playing out, but just as we just heard, let people be allowed to do their jobs. The main challenge we have seen about this issue is that of communication, the absence of communication, the lack of communication from the government to the people. Already, as you can hear people's voices. People are agitated about one thing or the other, and people need to know exactly what is happening. Someone is covering our lenses so that you don't see what is happening. I don't know what you make of this, but this is what is happening right now at the Lekki toll gate. We don't know whether it's the one at Admiralty Junction or the one at the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge, but we will definitely get an update on this, just so you know that this is exactly what is happening right now.
They're trying to stop. You don't understand me. Don't stand in front. Do you understand what I'm saying at all? I've spoken to the MD.
Led to the altercation which you're seeing right now. Already you can see men, security men, trying to obstruct our camera, and clearly this is premeditated. This is deliberate because the camera was rolling and our correspondent was trying to give an update. And there you see the hand trying to cover the lens of our camera. It is important to... Let's listen in.
No. The reason why we are not going, you are Nigeria. People don't need to know what to do. But you don't know what the right time is. Where is the right time? Where is the right time? Where is the motor? It's the same person that said no. So definitely, tell him to go on meeting. Tell him to go on meeting. Or tell him to go on meeting. Maybe for meeting.
Correspondent at the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge is trying to, inform Nigerians of what is going on right now. And at this point, we can't really speak to his safety. He's currently, as you can hear, being harassed by security officials. Our lens has been covered so that Nigerians can't see what exactly is going on there. And we fear that his right is being trampled upon as we speak. So we ask the appropriate authorities, the police, the people in charge of the security there. In fact, the LCC, the concession company, and the state government to ensure that what is right is done. The police has put out a statement that they will not infringe on the rights of people to move freely, to go about their legitimate work, which Olu Phillips, our correspondent, is doing. And he's properly identified. He has a channel's flag on him, and he's been reporting on that situation. So currently, we're worried about the situation, and we'll definitely bring you the updates as we have them.
Also asking that the government and the officials of government who are right now listening to and watching this conversation to step in, make the appropriate calls, and let people know what is happening right now, because this is not the kind of representation you want to give to people, especially given the meeting that held yesterday and the opposition of the people and the appeal, the understanding that government was seeking on behalf of itself for the same people. Because I understand that governance is about people. The LCC, the Lekki toll gate, Link Bridge and all is supposed to be for that reason. This is the live feed now. Olu is trying to ensure that the needful is done, and policemen are most certainly not allowing him to do his job. This is live right now. Our cameraman is doing his own job of ensuring that the needful is done to ensure that we bring you this report as and when we ought to bring it. Here is calling the Lagos State Commissioner of Police to make the appropriate calls. Let us do our jobs. You do yours, we do ours. We want the same thing. We all want the same thing.
Let's see if we can listen in and hear the conversation going on now.
If we're not here, we need to report it. about visual. Take permission from we take permission. Look at him. He's there. He has something to do. The only thing he told us that we shouldn't go under the bridge. The only thing he said was we don't go under the bridge.
To protest, and we definitely, I don't know what we make of this, but as soon as we can get live feed from Olu Phillips, our correspondent, who, as you can see right there, having some conversations
In
with
fact, this is actually
people.
live.
Oh, yes, of course. I said it earlier. This is live from Lekki Toll Gate now. This is what is happening this very moment. The Lagos State Commissioner of Police, the Office of the Governor, the Office of the Commissioner for Information, your attention is being called right now to this that you do not want to happen, this representation, this image that you do not want for the government of Lagos State. We definitely will bring you an update on this as it goes on. Well, while that is on, we still have Colonel Hassan Stanlabo here. Perhaps you will want to speak to this a little bit. Security officials are supposed to do their jobs. The press, we're supposed to do our jobs. What do you, first of all, make of that altercation? Should it happen in the first place? What kind of conversation? I don't know. What kind of instructions do security men get when they go to forestall protests?
Thank you so much, Ayo. In the first place, I don't, expect any of this to be taking place, because speaking like somebody who is actually seeing what's on ground, I don't see any rowdiness that would have led to all this. All they require is some understanding. The journalists should be allowed to do their job. The policemen should be allowed to do their job. I don't see how anybody is hindering anybody from doing his job. If the cameraman is picking his shots, he's picking shots of what's on ground. If you are hindering him from picking shots, then meaning there is something illegal going on, which you don't want him to show the public. So you are conniving, and I see you as being complicit. Look, our actions should not send out the wrong signals. The policeman blocking the camera from picking images. What are you preventing the camera from picking? Are you shooting at someone again? Are we going back to the same Lekki incidents again? I thought by now we've all learned our lessons and everybody will actually be behaving. We can't go on this way. We are not kids.
Well, as I said, let's just hope that the police commissioner, the police commissioner in Lagos, the governor of the state, as well as the minister of the Ministry of Information, will also speak to this. But to the issue on hand, Colonel Stanlabo, it definitely was disturbing when you heard about this attack on the Abuja-Kaduna Express, train track. The fact that there were those other conversations about intelligence reports and all of that, and particularly what you heard the MD of NRC just say, that we shouldn't give in to these terrorists. What do you make of it?
First and foremost, what went wrong? If you ask me what went wrong, I would say, look, in the first place, I think there was a failure of intelligence on the part of the military or the security agencies. Failure of intelligence to have picked out what was supposed to happen. Most of us have had incidents like this at the airport and so on and so on. Once you have one incident, is enough for you to throw your tentacles all places. But even after this, that of the road again happened, I think less than 24 hours. About the next day in the morning again, we had that of what happened on the road again. And it begins to make you wonder what's beginning to happen with our intelligence community. I place the entire blame now on the intelligence community, be it the DMI, be it the DSS, be it the police, what's it called, CID. You mentioned it, the entire intelligence community. Something is wrong. We've really got to sit up.
Let's try to decrypt it. Just 1 second.
Yes.
Let's try to decrypt
Yeah.
and take it from the base. I understand that there is at least one DSS official in every local government area in Nigeria.
Okay.
And I believe that between Abuja and Kaduna, there are quite a few local governments. Consequently, the DSS official is supposed to have a job to do. At that point, one would have expected that that information would have been given to the appropriate quarters. So when you say something is wrong, is it from that level or from the point of actioning or taking action on the intelligence information that they got?
Irrespective. I see the Kaduna-Abuja road now to be a red spot completely. When I say now, I'm not just referring to now, right from when all these problems, took off. I expect that by now, on the, let me call it the dashboard of every intelligence organization in this country, that patch, Kaduna-Abuja highway, should be painted red. That is, look, this is a no-go area. We mustn't joke with it. So even if you are allotting, I'm trying to justify what I'm saying now. Even if you are allotting a personnel to certain jurisdiction, when it comes to that place, you give it special attention. Now, these various special attentions should all now be coordinated. Why am I saying this? I am still shocked that we still have attacks on that Kaduna highway. And it brings to question a lot of other issues, a plethora of issues we have often risen, bordering on manpower and what have you. By now, I expect that that window, especially that 30-kilometer window that involves those three communities, I've forgotten their names now.
Regina and the rest.
Yes, my dear. By now, that window, that patch, should have been infested and embedded by security personnel, such that for nearly every 3 or 4 citizens you see walking around there, 2 months with security personnel belonging to the intelligence, embedded,
Do we have
living
that
in
manpower?
communities.
Do we have that manpower?
That is, I talked about manpower. Okay? Why do we not have the manpower? With a population of 200 and something million? With graduates all over the place without jobs? How much are we paying them that we cannot engage them? Are we paying them the same 30 million we pay senators? Are these not small boys who pay 50, 60 million, 1,000 naira? Even the one we increased to the police, we have not even affected it. The point I'm making is, by now, we are in a state of war, my brother. And can we just act as if we're in a state of war? We are so complacent. We are so relaxed. And that is why all these things are happening. Why are we still talking about a manpower issue in the security sector of this country? Be it police, military, DSS, or what? Why are we still talking about a manpower issue? Can we just expand the training institutions and absorb more men? So that we shan't be having all these manpower issues? This manpower thing is even a distraction to a lot of the issues I wanted to talk about.
And let's speak to some of those issues,
Yes,
if we
please.
can. So this train attack that we're seeing is just an expression of a bigger issue. So we've had it in in terms of school attacks from secondary schools, primary school, even university, there's been kidnappings in their hundreds. We've had that. We've had attacks on roads, attacks on villages. We've had attacks on VIPs. We've had attack on the NDA, for crying out loud. So it's just different, you know, springing out of a major challenge. So if you can speak to us about this, I mean, you have the president time and again having meetings with the service chiefs. The latest we had a few days ago, just right after the attack on the Abuja-Kaduna train. And the president gave an order, a marching order, as it were. This is something we've had time and again. So if you say that we're not being proactive, we're being lax, at what level will that be? And I think it goes back to the question you made. At what level are we being lax? Is it at the commanding level, at the disseminating level, at the operational level? Where exactly is this problem?
I think there's a lot of deceit ongoing. I say this as a patriotic citizen. I say this as somebody who loves his country. There is a lot of deceit ongoing. Why? Are we saying till this moment? I thought the governor of Kaduna State yesterday also said we know where these guys are, but that the military does not want to go bomb them. We just bought, is it 12 Tucanos? So they are there acquiring dust and cobwebs. I was expecting that by now, nearly every spot in the north will be undergoing all sorts of bombardment where these guys are, sniffing them out. We know where these guys are. Why are we not going for them?
But you know they just kidnapped people.
If you know...
Will they be right to bombard them, for example, with the people they just kidnapped? This is just asking you on an operational level. Will they be right, ethically, to bombard them, for example, the ones responsible for this latest attack, knowing that they have taken hostages?
No, of course. Is it after they've taken hostages you want to go bombard them? Where were you? You never knew where they were before then?
So this should have happened earlier.
These are damn things that intelligence could have fetched all along and you could have carried out your actions.
So in your opinion, you said there is deceit.
Yes.
In your opinion, where is this deceit coming from?
Both from the strategic level and it falls down.
To what end?
Ask me.
I just did.
Ask me. The point is this. Look. And I don't like people always reading politics into it. No. It has nothing to do with politics. It has nothing to do with politics. If anything, I think individuals have their perceptions, their opinions, informed by whatever you want to call it, ethnic factors and what have you, all right? And in the course of interpreting this on ground, we begin to find situations where citizens suffer, even those who shouldn't be suffering.
Colonel, I'm still at a loss. My apologies. I'm still at a loss. When you say there is deceit, I am trying, because you, just as you said, you're speaking as a patriotic Nigerian and you are a security operative, so you definitely know a few things that many people don't. So when you say there is deceit,
Ayo,
what is the intention of the deceit? The reason I'm asking is this.
Yes.
People are dying.
Yes.
Livelihoods are being lost.
Good.
Lives are being lost.
Good.
Families are being disintegrated.
Good.
And governance is decrypting. The Governors Forum just said that, look, this is a collective failure of governance on the part of all of us. So when you say there is failure, there is deceit, my apologies.
Yes.
At what point is it? Is it at collaboration level, at the office of the security operatives, at the president's office, the governors? Where is this deceit?
Ayo, after every incident, there is normally a mini conference or a mini discussions between the president and the security chiefs where directives are issued and so on and so forth. Am I right? After that, what else do we see? Why am I talking about there seem to be a deceit here and there? Individuals who will keep telling you, look, we know where these guys are. Go into the communities. Are we saying there are people who don't know where these guys are? The community members will tell you, we know where they are. I'm from Southern Kaduna. Come to Southern Kaduna, they will tell you where they are. But nobody will go there to fetch them out.
Why?
That is the deceit I'm talking about. You not sit down and claim, look, they give you all sorts of reasons why it was not possible to fetch them out, this and that and so on. And day after day, people are being buried in southern Kaduna, buried in parts of Kaduna State, and so on.
What reasons are given? You said all manners of
All
reasons.
sorts of reasons. So what else do you expect? Other than they telling you how, oh, before we arrived, they had left this, that, and so on. How would they not have left when you arrived 8 hours after incident had taken place?
So who's the greatest
so on.
beneficiary, pardon me, who's the greatest beneficiary of this chaos? Maybe that would be a way to understand where the problem is. Who benefits the most from all of this chaos?
Well, the individuals are both the strategic level and middle strategic level who know what they are out there to achieve.
Strategic level
Okay.
where?
Both political strategic level, in fact, political strategic level.
But you also said there is no politics in this. You said we shouldn't read politics into it.
I said political strategic level. I didn't say we are reading, I'm bringing politics to bear on it. When you bring in politics to bear on it, you are trying to probably say it's a party thing because of 2023 and so on and so forth. But I'm talking about political strategic level now. You are talking about the topmost strategic level. Okay? After that, you come down to the other strata.
You also said that the people in the communities know where these people are.
Yes.
And I also know, I mean, we discussed this yesterday, that Kaduna is about the most fortified state in Nigeria with all kinds of military formations here and there. So
Yes.
how come all of this is happening?
Yes.
The people know, and then yet this is what we still have.
That is the big question. Kaduna is about the most fortified of all the states. Yet, Kaduna is the most boiling state, where incidents are happening on a daily basis, where barriers are taking place on a daily basis.
Who should be most embarrassed by this?
I expect the chief executive to be. And of course, he has not hidden it. Because definitely he knows, as far as security is concerned, he has failed.
When you say chief executive?
He may, just a minute, please. He may have tried all his best, but definitely we cannot give him a plus when it comes to security.
When you say chief executive, which one, federal or state?
They're not the state now. We're talking about Kaduna now.
Yes, but
When it comes to the federal, of course, Mr. President, the buck rests on his table. Even the president knows it's a failure when it comes to security. Do we need anybody to say that anymore? Are we sure we can sit here and score Mr. President 40% on security? Well, let's be frank. Unless we want to, in our usual way, play, what do you call it, and score him 90%.
Okay. Well, there's still much more to say about that. We'll go back to Abuja shortly. But just before we do that, we want to take a quick update from Olu Phillips, our correspondent, covering the Lekki toll gate issue. Olu, hope we have you well and good. Can you hear me, Olu?
Guys, we saw this coming, we knew it was going to happen, and we prepared for it. We knew some people were going to try to get overzealous. Some 30 minutes ago, we tried to record, and we had a swarm, the policemen latching on us and pulling us, dragging us, taking away our cameras. They took away this microphone. They grabbed my glasses. They've taken it off. So permit me and forgive me for squinting. They've taken away my earpiece, my broadcast earpiece too, so that I'm not able to do anything. And this was happening live in front of the LCC MD who ordered that they should do that. We have him on record. We have him on film when he ordered that the policemen should harass us. They harassed us, picked me up, took me to their car, and after a while released me. And this is where we are right now, and this is what's happening. It took the interventions of some Nigerians who had to park their cars to ask why journalists are being harassed on a day like this, and while they are doing their job. This is the situation here, and we hope it doesn't degenerate while we do our constitutionally provided job, guys.
Olu, just to be clear, were you in any way causing obstruction? Were you in any way doing anything untoward? Just to put it out there in case people were wondering.
Okay, so this is it. I mean, guys, this is the spot we stood exactly some 30 minutes ago when it all started. We couldn't have been obstructing traffic. We're professionals. We knew what we were doing. What they didn't want was for us to film this area. They said this area belongs to them. the MD of LCC kept maintaining that this environment belongs to the LCC and that we couldn't film. I tried to explain to him that this is a public area, but he wouldn't listen, so he got his guys to swamp on us and began to manhandle us and block our cameras, took the cameras away, grabbed my glasses so I couldn't really effectively do what I was doing, took away, like I said earlier, my earpiece, which is why I've resorted to a telephone call, as it were.
Okay, now, so what is the update? What is it that informed all of that in the first place? What is the update? What is happening right now at that location?
What's happened is after, it seemed like when we tried to stream earlier, some 10 seconds when the harassment started, other journalists and other online guys swarmed into this place and started triggered that recording, and so far you can see that everybody is standing at ease, as it were. They've dispersed, the policemen have dispersed, they've left where we are. I don't know, but everybody from the LCC, the chief security officer who was earlier telling us to also get out of this place is nowhere here. The MD who was just standing across the road where my cameraman is showing you with those two men have also left, has walked away because he was also being filmed by other journalists who were here, who were monitoring what the harassment looked like.
Well, Olu, most certainly we will have a full report from you before the end of the day. Thank you, and please, again, keep safe. Well, the conversation on this Kaduna attacks is also going on. Let's go to Abuja now. Let me quickly ask Engineer Kyria before I throw it to you, Maokwe. Well, earlier, Engineer Kyria, we have heard all kinds of numbers bandied. Just would like you to clear the numbers. There are those who alleged once 970 people were on board, 1,100 capacity for all coaches, and the report that you put out says only 362 were validated. Can you bridge that gap for us?
You see, that I purposely signed that press release by myself to authenticate the reality of time. I don't know who brought that figure of 980. If you have 9 coaches, 88 people in 7 of them, 56 in 2. Even if you add, then we said 840, including standing. I don't know who gave the figure of 980. And people are still arguing. Is it 980? Is it 398? A document signed by at least the MD and the chief executive with a printout showing the names and phone numbers of the people that traveled and the people that bought tickets differently. 398 bought ticket, 392 validated, both before boarding and after boarding. So who is that person that entered that counted 1, 2, 3 to 980 or 970? So I think people just say what they want to say, and people hear what they want to hear, and take that. I'm a realistic. I'm too short of word, and I say things as they are. So 398 boarded, bought the ticket. 392 validated to have boarded, excluding staff. However, we have made calls to 123, confirming that they are safe. 17 others that we have been able to reach said they bought for their sibling, but they have not found them. As at yesterday evening. So my people are still working, but have not gotten the report this morning. So how many people there out of the 362, how many they have been able to get in touch with? That's where
okay, engineer, just quickly.
We have also received calls.
Okay, just quickly.
From those that have been heard.
Okay, to what extent, if you can you validate or vouch for, the manifest, as it were? Is this ticketing process, this ticketing system, under the purview of the NRC, or is it a third party that is in charge of this?
No, we have a third party. We have access to the back-end information. That is how we have to be able to account for what we earn and how much we receive. We have access to the back end, and we print the manifest right at the stations. Because if you buy your ticket either on the web or on your app, or you come to the station, they go to the same server. So
Oh.
I don't know if you have used the train. I think you have used the train.
Oh, we all have used the train.
But how do you board? With your
And
ticket?
I think that, you know, at the risk of sounding like I was defending the NRC, I did, you know, let people who I follow on or who follow me on Twitter know that there have been significant improvements in terms of ticketing. And maybe that's why we could even expect that there will be a manifest. But then there have been questions as to why it took so long. Because you have talked about why, you know, the number of people, the initial number of 970, in fact, there was an information gap. Don't forget that this happened on in the night or in the evening of, as you said, there's no night service, in the evening of a Monday. And by Tuesday, of course, newspapers have to print something.
And they have to sell.
Journalists, they don't
they have to sell.
No, it's not a question
and those who are on the Instagram have
Mr.
to get
Okiria,
followers.
I have to say something. It's not a question of selling. It's a question of information. There has to be clarity.
Well, did they call
How
me
many
to
people,
get the information? Who did they call that give them the 980?
Who
So
should
if they
have,
don't get,
whose
anybody,
responsibility was it to put out that information there as quickly as possible?
How?
That's the question we should ask. If an incident has occurred, whose responsibility is it to fill in the press as quickly? Must the press be the one to call? If there have been an incident, shouldn't, and people are already aware, because don't forget that a lot of these things found their way to social media before the media houses. Don't forget Dr. Chinelo's tweet, who confirmed that she had been hit. And, you know, you saw the list of reactions. So when you see those kind of incidences, while the NRC is responding, whose responsibility was it in-house to reach mainstream media houses to say, this tentatively is what we have and this is what we know?
And
What was the information
and we
flow?
did that. The following morning, I was on channel, I was on NTA, and I expressed, you see, you have to get the figures right. Before, you know how long it took channel to bring me here today? Because I was not playing. So you have to get the figure right. But what I'm saying, can somebody just wake up from his brain and say, 980? And put it there.
Mr. Okiria, I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
As a Tuesday morning, we knew that as a Tuesday morning, 7 a.m., we knew we had information that 7 bodies had been evacuated.
Yes.
That information did not come from the NRC.
Yes.
As at afternoon, in 12 noon in the afternoon of that same Tuesday, we were still expecting the manifest from the NRC. I don't think that information about the number of people who were on that train came until the evening of Tuesday. That was when we were able to confirm from the NRC how many people were on board. There was no tentative figure even given by the NRC to say, this is how many people our trains can even carry. I said, now we're not able to fully confirm, we're still confirming, but this is what we have. There was no such information. It would seem that there was a total information block from the NRC, who wanted to be cocksure before they put out any information. How was that going to help anybody?
Okay. You see, we work in a system, and there are rules that govern us. And apart from that, you don't give one information today, tomorrow you give another one. You have to be quite sure, very sure, as I'm sure of what I'm saying right now. So it immediately happened. 840 boarded because we have 840 seats without going back to the back end. And moreover, you should know when this thing happened, what should you be doing? We should be fighting to see how soon can we get those people affected to their various, where they can get treatment. How do you get those various people that are playing part now to get involved and rescue people? Not to start flashing news and all those things.
Okay,
but
just quickly.
That same day, we give a press release.
I'm sure you can appreciate that there are people who were, very worried about what had happened on the train. The people who were affected by that incident, and a number of them who had tweeted, had family members who were very anxious. And I'm sure a lot of them were looking to...
How will the wrong figure help them?
Let me clarify what I need to say. And they will be looking to, getting information from media houses and from information quarters such as the NRC's, maybe information desk, et cetera, so that even if you didn't have the full picture of the information, whatever it is you get, as you get it, you were updating the media. We didn't see that from the NRC. It didn't seem like it was a nimble organization in that regard.
You see, those people, that night I didn't sleep. Those people who have people on train were calling my number. I don't reject number. And I was answering them. So, and we had set up a desk for people to call.
How quickly was that done?
It immediately happened. You see, our staff still went to site that night when the soldier permitted them to come. We sent another train that unfortunately derailed at the point of the bomb, which we should not have done. But because of the anxiety and people, we sent another train that night at about 11 p.m. to help move our people from the site. So that should be the primary thing at that time as a railway person, not as a news person. So the issue is that we release, and what does it, hours delay in getting prayer and getting the fake one out? A person who has no idea of, maybe has not even seen the train, gave a figure, and people are brandishing it because they just want to followership on the social media. Or we have to help ourselves.
Let me flip this to my colleagues. Gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Mark. We actually appreciate having to clear the air because, I mean, it's important to have the communication to people so they don't get to believe the wrong thing. But, Engineer, I'd like you to take a look at this, picture taken from the scene of the incident. And a lot of people have been counting the coaches, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this. So counting that, I mean, at least after the engine, you can see, at least 11 coaches. The same as the 8 that you referenced, or is there a different way to count the coaches? Because a lot of people have been counting, and it looks like what they are seeing is different.
You see, I've just mentioned that you have 9, I said 9 coaches. I just mentioned the different classes. That's why you had 8. You have the locomotive making 10. I said we also sent a set of 3 coaches to move people from site. But unfortunately, the train also derailed at the point of the blast. So if you count that, you have 12 trains and 2 locomotives at site. So all the coaches were not on that train. The train, a set of 3 coaches and 1 locomotive was sent.
Engineer, what we're looking at, just to be clear, what we're looking at is the original train, right, that left
Yes.
Abuja for Kaduna at 6 p.m. on Monday. Am I right?
Yes.
So I can count at least 11 coaches plus the engine, that's 12.
I can't count 11 there.
Okay. Well, there's a numbering on top of it, so you might just want to follow. But just to be clear, it looks like there are 11 of them. So maybe
I was there physically. That's where the issue. And your cameramen were there physically. I just asked the person who came there how many coaches. It's not showing pictures.
Okay, so this is not the image.
Your reporter was there. So it's not.
Just to be clear, so is this the image or not? Engineer Kira, if you can hear me, just yes or no, is this the image of the train that was involved in that incident or not?
I can't see, but that is the spot.
Okay. Also, in terms of security, we're trying to wind down on this all-important conversation. So you said that it might take 2 weeks to repair this, but there's that element of security, the surveillance, which the Minister of Transport has spoken about, saying it will cost billions. Is that also factored into the 2 weeks completion, or this might even take longer than 2 weeks?
Okay. If you're talking about the security that will have to be deployed, we have not got into that stage because we have to get approval first. I'm talking about the time it will take us to move those coaches out of sight and fix the track. And that depends also on the guarantee of security for the staff, that if they come there, they are safe. If they say don't today don't come to site, I will not force the staff to go to site. So,
and as Malkwe
if
has
you have
said,
at least 8 hours a day to work, at least in 2 weeks' time, we'll be able to move out the coaches, then fix the track.
As Malkwe said, it's important to try to boost the confidence of people in this service, and security will play a major role. So for this surveillance system that will be procured, will that be handled by the NRC or security agency or a third party, the same way as the ticketing is being handled?
You see, the security, the minister is talking about, is installing and embedding it into our operation so that you can have real-time monitoring of what is happening on the track. And if there's somebody try to tamper the trap, not authorized, there should be an alarm, and we inform the security of what is happening. So it's part of going to be a signal, safe control system that will make us see real-time what is happening on the track. What we have now is that we have CCTV on the coaches. So when we move these coaches to the workshop, we're able to download and if we are lucky, get the images of those people that attack the train, that enter the coach. So we also want to have a similar thing on the track so that you can record, even if it's cow, you know it's cow that's passing. If it's the authorized staff, you see the picture while they are walking. If it's somebody who dug the ground and started planting bomb, we will also see real time. It has to be ringed. By that, you have to have it, if one system fails, another one will take up. If GSM fails, radio will come in, satellite will come in. That's when you can say you are, it's the communication, that is the information that will lead people to know whether to run or not to run.
Okay, just before we close this...
Rightfully so. There's been plenty of focus now, or there's plenty of focus now on the Abuja-Kaduna rail line, and I also believe that there might be some also on the Kano-Lagos line as well, looking at what we saw in Zaria yesterday where you lost a driver. Very sad incident indeed. But, you know, what other assurances do we have for the other lines? Lagos-Ibadan has started, and a lot of people are happy with that service, never mind 1 or 2 incidents that we've seen. But the 2 things now, and as I did say in my disclaimer, the ticketing system on the Abuja-Kaduna rail, it was said that has, you know, there's been some marked improvement there. But we're not able to say the same for the Warri-Itakpe line. We're also not able to confirm if this is the same for the Lagos-Ibadan line. Okay. So what can you tell us about those lines first?
We're at the final stage of concluding that. You see, we are using a PP sort of arrangement with ICRC. People have to invest and operate and transfer. And you have to operate for some time to know what volume of passenger you expect before you get the investment. Right now, the due diligence has been done for those companies. We started the process, and I think we hope by next week we'll be able to get the certificate from ICRC compliant. Then we send it to BPP. Then we go to Cabinet Office.
You
so we are targeting maybe in the next 2 months we should conclude that and they start deploying it, because we know the difference between the e-ticketing that we have in Abuja-Kaduna, apart from the earning that has doubled. We also know the headache it has removed. People no longer call me, I want to travel, please help me with tickets. If you call me and say, go to if I want to help you, I say go to the platform too, so you can do that yourself. But when you do manually, somebody can call you and say, MD, please, I want to travel.
So I mean, as we speak, we know that is not yet the case for the Warri-Itakpe line. No. And we also know that there have been some misdemeanors, in fact, some serious security breaches on the Warri-Itakpe line that has been caught on camera, you know, where trains are stopping in the middle of nowhere and are picking passengers, not at designated stations, and are picking passengers illegally on board. We have seen that. We've also seen, you know, the Lagos-Ibadan line where diesel finished on the train. I mean, these are incidences that are, you know, they leave a lot to be desired. So you say that you are the technocrat when it comes to rail operations. What can you tell us about that?
You see, you have technology, you have a human being element when you operate a system. And that's the one of Lagos Ibadan, where they talk about diesel failure. The driver said the gauge was low of fuel, and he signed that alert. And we have a workshop at Papalanto. At that level, they will not even contact me. And they say, okay, if that is the case, but we don't believe because we know the fuel that can take you from Lagos to Ibadan and back. The diesel locomotive have 5,000 liter tank, and there were 2 diesel locomotives on that train. So, and once the driver raised that alarm, it is the duty of the technician to say, which solution do I provide? Do I wait there to see if there's a problem, or do I take diesel? So they were solving the problem at both ends.
Well, I know that you have since clarified that there was some hanky-panky going on. Yeah. But I think for me, the biggest concern, and for many Nigerians, will be security. These are the kinds of things that provide room for, security breaches. So what exactly are the assurances we are providing on these lines as well?
You see, as I said earlier, such a thing can never happen because we have learned from that experience. And I'm not saying that you cannot rule out failure on mechanical things, but I've taken it to the level that you should take a locomotive or a coach as an airplane. Like when you have a failure, it's like a plane crashing. So that I think that should be the first time it has happened since we started. And I've spoken to the engineers and technicians and the operators never to allow such a thing happen. However, we are still digging deep to know what actually happened, and those involved in such will not be left in the system.
Are you putting new security measures on board for the other lines, more specifically?
You see, as the managing director of Nigerian Railway Corporation, it's for me to inform those to provide the security, both in writing and continue to rally with them, which we are doing. We meet. I meet with the commissioner. I meet with the commandant, and I will make an external call. On Tuesday, I wrote a letter to the IG, trying to say nothing wrong with deploying even mobile to guide our train, and they approved. Oh. So we tell them when we have information, and they also tell us when they have information, and we react. But we see you cannot limit this insecurity into rail. You cannot isolate it.
We sincerely hope that this will be the last of the incidences we record on our railway lines. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Today this morning. Mr. Fidet Okiria is the Managing Director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation. It's over now to you, gentlemen in Lagos.
Thank you, Malcolm. Just before we let you go, Constance Labo, about speaking specifically to this only backup to the Lagos, beg your pardon, Abuja-Kaduna road, which is a railway system. We, of course, know that there's the airport as well. What are the gaps you think we need to fill now as a matter of urgency, and then perhaps sustainably, in order not to have this kind of attack that we've had again?
First and foremost, we must strive to marry technology to intelligence. We have all sorts of drones out there today. In fact, drones have gone to another level now. There is what now we call eyes in the sky equipment. Eyes in the sky equipment are drones that are either remotely controlled or piloted, okay? And they have their various, I would say, control rooms scattered all over. They send all sorts of information, engage for you if you want them to engage, and so on. By now, we should have graduated to that level and man that Kaduna Abuja highway besides the issue of infestation I was talking about, that is embedded men within the communities and so on.
Talking about that, just before we go,
Yes, please.
there is that very important place of human intelligence, people, community relations, and all of that. A good number of people have spoken to that as well. So what do the people do? People have information and they need to give it to the security operatives. But sometimes they give to security operatives, nothing happens. Sometimes they don't give it to security operatives. There are allegations that people give information to these terrorists as well. How do we, what are the things that we need to do in this regard in order for this patriotism that you talked about to be entrenched across board?
We keep seeing a lot of effort in the direction of civil-military cooperation. I wonder how much this has been brought to bear into these communities so that communities will be able, as much as possible, to earn the respect or trust of the security agencies and so on. Unfortunately, there is this distrust in some of these communities out of fear and what have you, because people at times get information across, and there are always backlash and things like that. We should strive to see that we do away with all this.
Right.
If we do away with all this, then we can really gain the hearts and minds of the communities. And then, of course, it will be easier to float through.
And I think that's a great place to anchor, Colonel. I mean, the day didn't quite turn out as we wanted to, but I think some of the issues have been raised. It's an ongoing conversation. I would like to thank you, Colonel Hassan Stan Lambo, former Army officer, security risk management consultant, and defense strategist for your time on the program this morning.
I appreciate it.